So good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is going to be the first of many of our webinars that we're gonna hold. This first webinar is going to be on our twin screw compressors, with everything from coating the cases to coating the actual shafts and the rotors, bearing journals and seal fits. We do something a little different to where we actually can do the housings and slide valve areas. H&M Plating was established back in 1971. We've been around for over 50 years. We have just merged with a big equity group and plan on growing as much as we can. It was family owned and operated. And during that time, Mr. Hamby grew the company by buying into Schumacher, Mira Industries, Dixie. And then as of late, we've also purchased South Coast Grinding, which with that makes us the second largest, if not the largest, coating and grinding company in North America, which is pretty impressive. H&M is ISO certified. We have been certified in all of our locations. What makes us a little different from everybody else is we have typically a 5 to 10 day turnaround period. That's our standard delivery on most things. We do have 24-hour expedited service that we provide. Depending on the job, we can do just about anything. As you guys know, we do electroplating, hard chrome, sulfate nickel, HVOF, all the spray metals, plasma, electric wire arc, and just about any of the spray coating. All your grinding, as a matter of fact, we probably have more grinding machines, more grinding, honing, and specialty grinding equipment than probably any grinder in the United States, probably in North America. We've got close to just under 100 pieces of grinding equipment throughout all of our companies. We do the phosphate coating, we do media blasting, and obviously all that is included with our service that we give to you guys. We have a very diverse industry group that we actually service: the oil and petrochemical. We do a bunch of marine work, hydraulics, rotating equipment, and then obviously all of the rollers and stuff for the roofing equipment. What's that, Michelle?
Steel mills, paper mills.
Yeah. So, and that gives us a big wide variety. I've been with the company 17 years. Michelle's been with us for 3 years. We both have an extensive background in sales. I think the biggest thing, if you guys all know me, it's not just about sales. It's more about educating and learning our product knowledge. We want to make sure that when you guys come on board with us, we're actually giving you more than just a coating or a grinding job. We want to give you some more education to where maybe we can prevent these failures from happening in the future. And we want to educate the customer to make sure that, hey, this is how we can do things to prevent it. We can give you suggestions on what may make your product better. We're not the engineers, but we've seen different things in the past that we're here for you guys. The biggest thing that H&M has that nobody else provides anymore is when you guys call some of our competitors, man, when was the last time you had one of those guys come out and talk to you about a job? When was the last time anybody has ever come out and said, hey, let me sit down with you and let's discuss this job? Well, myself and Michelle both, when she came on board, I told her, you need to learn everything you possibly can about every piece of equipment that we are going to repair. In doing so, we need to be able to go out at a moment's notice and talk to a customer about a job that they have or have in their shop. We may or may not be able to help you, but we can at least point you in the right direction. And I think the response time that we give to our customers is second to none. I don't think that everybody else in the industry really does that anymore. Everybody sits behind a desk and waits on it to come to them, where we're out there talking to you guys, trying to help you guys solve, problems and try and prevent stuff from happening in the future. What sets us apart is how large our facilities are and how much equipment we have. That gives us the ability to give you standard turnarounds anywhere from 5 to 7, sometimes 10 days, again, depending on the complexity of the part. Our expedited services are anywhere from 2 to 3 days. Again, it just depends on what we're doing there. Quality assurance, we're ISO. We've got a quality book. We're ISO 9001. We have a risk management system in place to where we try and prevent as many things falling through the cracks as we possibly can. Things happen. We give everybody a run out report, certificate of coding, give you the die penetrating checks, certificates, and just make sure that once you get the part, making sure that everything is to your standards. The last thing there is state of the art. We've grown so much that we just have more capacity than anybody else in the country. Today we're going to be talking about twin screw compressors. This is a this is just a basic scale of a basic twin screw compressor. You can see the rotors in here. Typically, what everybody 9 out of 10 times everybody sends these rotors out. You got seal damage or you got bearing damage. Once this happens, you have failures in the field. Your bearings start coming apart. They're not as balanced as they should be once they start having failures or having rough areas. Here is a rotor. You see the bearing journals or the seal fits. We go in, we grind these areas down, we prepare them for coating. We'll send them back over to our coating room. Once we grind them down, we do a run out. Then we die check it, make sure there's no pitting in there after we've ground it. Then we send it over to our coating booth. We'll actually blast those areas, mask everything up. And then once we mask it up, we'll get it ready within just a few minutes to get into a spray booth, and we'll light it up. As you can see, this has already been sprayed. Once it's at this stage, we take it out, we let it cool, and then we'll take it back over within the next few hours over to a grinder. We will then grind it. We'll check, actually see how thick we've got on there. We'll grind it back down to the desired size within a half thousandths typically. And from there, we'll do our die check, recheck our runouts, give the customer everything you guys need. Once we give it back to you guys, y'all will be able to send it over to balance and make sure everything runs true and straight. So with that, we're going to give you the certs on the liquid die check. We're going to also give you the certs on the coating itself. We'll give you a run out report to make sure all the fits, not just one, but all of your fits on this rotor are actually running within tolerance. If there is something that is not running within tolerance, we are the first, once we put it up, we're going to be the first people to give you a call. One of our lead guys will give you guys a call and say, hey man, you got one area on here that's running out of tolerance. What do you guys want to do? So typically we'll go back in there and we'll repair that area as well. But again, we try and be proactive with you guys to where you guys understand that, hey man, we're going to get you guys out of a jam and we're going to try and check everything. We know that you guys checked it. We're going to double check it. And if anything needs to be done that's extra, we're going to scream and shout and say, hey man, what do y'all want to do here? So again, everything is based off ISO certifications. And then we give you guys with your delivery paperwork, we'll give you guys everything with the delivery tickets, all your certs, all your run out reports, everything you guys are going to need in order to have your records for your customer. Okay. Here's the thing that I think we're the most proud of here at HM. We've discovered something that nobody else has been able to do. We haven't found anybody in North America that can actually do this process, but we've actually been able to take these cases, compressor cases, and we have a what's called a planetary grinder. And there's only a few of these in the world, but we've got a big one. And as you can see, you have 3 bores on a compressor case. On those 3 bores, sometimes you have rotors that actually get out of whack and, will hit that case. We can actually repair that where the rotors go. We haven't done those yet, but we've had some customers ask about it. The big thing that we repair is going to be the valve assembly area. So where that valve runs right down there in the middle of that, right here in the middle of the bore itself is where your valve runs. That's where you get a whole lot of damage. That's where you're getting all your pressures that are pushing your fluids and things through the casing and through the system. So when you get debris in there, the debris actually causes the friction between the two, and something's got to give at some point. This looks like a frit compressor that we did, and we were tasked with the ability on this one to go in, grind that middle bore, the valve area, grind that middle bore. We applied chrome to that bore, and then what we did was is we went back in and finished ground it. It's not a quick 5 to 10 day turnaround by any stretch of the imagination. Usually these are, depending on how backed up we are on that machine, usually these are 6 to 8 week, jobs. Sometimes we can do them depending on how backed up we are. Sometimes we can do them in 4 weeks. But you got to keep in mind, we're going to do the case and we're also going to do the valve, the valve itself. So once we do this, we get this in motion. And the only way we ever remove the coating that's actually in the case is we do it manually or mechanically by grinding it. Once we grind it all out of there, we establish a size to figure out how much chrome we've got to put back in there. Now, I will tell you this: some people have come to us and they've asked us to basically bastardize these because it's been so much damage inside this case that what we can do is we'll clean the case out, we'll give you a new size, and then we'll take the valve itself and then reestablish a new size on the valve. We'll build the valve up bigger in order to be able to fit inside that slide area. So feel free, anytime you guys have questions or this comes up, you guys can always holler at us and man, we can always help you out with that as well. So, but again, this is something that nobody else has come up with. Again, this is a situation where I had a customer that, man, they couldn't on this particular job. I don't think they could have gotten a case within, I want to say it was like 3 months, 4 months. And on this particular job, I turned it around in about 6 weeks. So, and of course, it was one of the plants that was down. They needed it. They didn't have a spare. They were in a bind. You guys all know how that goes. Everybody's always in a bind. So that's the world we live in, right? So, but we did a great job. This axle case or this compressor now has been in service now for about 2 years, and if whoever ground it before, it totally missed they miscentered it. So here's something else. When we line up on these cases, we're actually going to line up off the dowel pins, off the faces. We're going to make sure we are dead center with all the way through this valve assembly area. Any of the bores that we're actually going to touch, we've got to make sure we're dead center in those valve areas or in those slide areas. So whoever did this before totally missed it, and this thing was all over the place. They had not had it centered, so you had an area in there that slide was actually going down into the case, and it was coming back up, so it had wound up taking about 120 thousandths out of a couple of those. If anybody's familiar with a frit compressor, you have pads in the bottom of these, and it had taken about 120 thousandths out, and you could physically see it or visually see where there was a big hump in there. It was the craziest thing we ever saw. And to be honest with you, I told the customer, I said, man, I don't know if I can fix it. That was a tough one, but we got it and we got it right. And it's been running now for about 2.5, 3 years, which is awesome. Cause I was real worried about once we got it, but once I knew that we lined it back up straight, I knew we were golden. So a couple of things on the slide area, you always want to do a couple of different things. You want to have one metal or coating in there that is superficial to where it's going to take the beating and you'll have one that's soft and one that's hard. So typically we want to put the soft coating on the valve and the harder coating on the case. The reason being is that it's much easier to repair one of these valves than it is the whole case. And it's the case is a lot more time consuming. I can repair one of those valves in just a few weeks. In the next slide, we'll get to that and I'll show you how we can do that. But so most of these valves or these cases, we typically we like to try and apply chrome. You guys got to tell me what environment it's in so that we make sure that we give you the right options on the different coatings. So just give you an example, I had a customer that I had done 2 or 3 of these for, and they, we just got in the habit of putting chrome plating on one, and I think maybe Inconel on the valve. So we were putting chrome plating on the case. They called me one day and say, "Hey, man, you need to come out and look at this. The chrome plating's coming off." And I said, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, man, that's weird." But we had already done a bunch of these for him, and everything had been working. And of course, this has been over the course of 5 or 6 years. So just to let you guys know, this is a proven repair on here. It's not something that we just came up with overnight. In fact, I wanted to prove it for the last 4 or 5 years before I actually got out and tried to start selling it because again, you put your name out there, you want to make sure it works. So we went out and we talked to him about the chrome plating that was actually in the case. When we went out and talked to him, I said, "Guys, is this in a different environment from the others?" They go, "Oh yeah, yeah. It's a whole different environment." I said, "Well, y'all need to tell me that stuff. I thought we were still doing the same environment. It's the same case that we've done on the others." And he's like, "Yeah, no, this is in hydrochloric acid." So if anybody knows anything about chrome plating, I know some of you guys are probably familiar with that, but hydrochloric acid is what you strip chrome plating with. Now we don't strip these; we mechanically remove it because we don't want to damage the case itself. I say, guys, that's what we use to strip the chrome plating with. So this particular video is us actually spraying it with the metallizing. And so again, it's us communicating with the customer, us knowing exactly what our goal is, us knowing exactly what we need to do in order to achieve the ultimate solution. And man, we got to throw all the chips out on the table and figure out, okay, man, is this the best product for what we're looking to do here? So just, if you guys call us out, make sure we've got all this information because I'm going to ask, me or Michelle is going to ask a lot of questions and we're going to need to know this so that we can make sure that, man, we give you the right solution. So needless to say, we changed it. And now that we've never seen that compressor back. And I guess that was probably 5 years ago. Okay, here's our slide valves. As you can see, and if you guys, again, if y'all have any experience with these slide valves, they can get really nasty. Slide valve comes in. This one, I don't remember exactly how much we had to put on it as far as buildup. But what we do is these are really tricky. So we design a special fixture for this, and then we grind them down. The first thing that we do is, I don't know if y'all have seen these oil grooves in them. We will go in and make us a drawing just for the oil groove if the customer does not have a drawing. We'll try and mic the sizes in there, and then depending on how much we have to grind this down to build it back up, we've done them 180 thousandths build up, and we have to do an intermediate grind and put it back up and do more coating on it. But here's the deal. Once we get it ground, once we get it coated, then we have to machine those oil grooves back in it. So you have to make sure you're using the right products and the coating because this is a really tricky process here. And again, if you don't get it right, the coating's going to flake off. It's not going to last. It's not going to stick. It's again, this is a tough job. So, and you got to have the right guys being able to do this one. But what we do is we'll take the size of this valve, we'll grind it back to your finished size, whatever you need. And then if we need to, we actually take that valve and we can either oversize it depending on the size of your slide area. We can design it to where it actually will fit that area if we need to. Again, remember, we talked about bastardizing some of these, and sometimes you have to just because the amount of damage and the turnaround time, how fast you need to get it back up and running. So again, we'll grind this to whatever size we need to, and then get it back out on the table and get it rolling. We've got some testimonials here. We've got I don't know if Glenn is with us today. I wish he could have been because he is the manager over at Cabelco, and I've done a bunch of stuff for him. I've done a bunch of stuff for a variety of people, and I don't know how many of you guys are on here. There's a ton of people on here watching. So, but we've done work for them for about 7 or 8 years, and again, never had one of these cases, never had one of these issues come back. We do way more of the rotors for them as far as coating and grinding the rotors than anything else. But these cases come up and they come up pretty frequently. But again, those rotors are the ones that actually take the beating most of the time. And then obviously we get those back on track and move forward. So Astro Alloys, we get a lot of products from those guys and they refer a lot of business to us. Funny. I think she said H&M is a boss. So, I mean, again, those guys send us a whole lot of stuff. Texas Rotating, John Conley has been a friend and a longtime customer now, probably for 12 years, I think. And even now, since they've sold the company, we still do a ton of work for them. RMS is an unbelievable customer for us, and we've done a ton of compressors for these guys, and they absolutely love it. I think the Frick compressor is the one that we saw in the machine. I think that's the compressor that we actually did for these guys, and they couldn't believe we actually got it either. Of course, we shock ourselves sometimes. Again, if you guys have any questions, any concerns, you need somebody to come out and talk to. Man, again, that's what makes H&M plating different. Me or Michelle can come to you guys and we'll sit down, we'll talk to you. We'll give you some ideas on how we can actually fix whatever you're trying to accomplish. And man, let's come up with a solution. Thanks for viewing. Have a great day.